Today I'm going to share with you the learning process of a signature dish in Hong Kong Cha Chan Tangs, stir-fried flat rice noodles with beef. Hello everyone, this is Mefedi. Welcome to my first cooking video on the channel. If you surf the internet, you will find a lot of cooking demonstrations on this dish. And seemingly, this dish can be finished very quickly, very easy to make. But after cooking this dish for several times in a row, this dish might not be as easy as you might think. As the flat rice noodles are very starchy and sticky, many people use non-stick woks for this dish. Of course, when people are using non-stick woks, they have no problem making this dish successfully. So if you are not using non-stick wok, you might find it a little bit tricky to cook this dish. As the noodles might be sticky, we are always very tempted to add rounds and rounds of oil to prevent anything sticking to the bottom of the wok. Before I shoot this episode, I almost watched every single YouTube video on this dish. But for people using woks of other materials, only 2 chefs managed to do this right. They did not break the rice noodles, they are still long strips and in one piece, and after cooking there was nothing stick to the bottom of their wok. So you could see that requires some skills. So what's actually the trick? In Hong Kong, there are some noodle supply shops, and these stores usually sell different kinds of Chinese pastas, like wonton wrappers, rice rolls. So always go to these stores to find the treasures. You could easily find these flat rice noodles in noodles supply stores. The noodles might clump together, so we need to separate them before cooking. After we finish separating the noodles, leave them aside. I once bought such kind of fresh noodles in an Asian market in Australia. The prepackaged noodles were sold in a refrigerator. Even I cooked the noodles the day I bought them, the noodles broke very easily. Then later I learned from the pros, these fresh noodles should not be stored in the fridge, as the refrigeration would make the noodles easy to break. So try to buy noodles that are non-refrigerated, and remember to cook the noodles on the same day of purchase. I bought this piece of Australian beef from a supermarket in Hong Kong. After drying the beef using kitchen paper, I cut the beef into thin slices, as thin slices could absorb the marinade more easily. To marinate the beef, I add some soy sauce and some oyster sauce. Then mix well. Then add a tablespoon of room temperature water. Mix again until all the liquid is fully absorbed. Then add a little bit of dark soy sauce. Mix well and add some rice wine. After mixing, add some white sugar and add some cornstarch. Lastly, add some sesame oil. Mix well and marinate the beef in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. In my first attempt, I found the marinade was not fully absorbed. So I bought another piece of beef tenderloin using only 240 grams of it. In this second attempt, I removed the silver skin and cut the beef into thin slices again. So you can see I try to cut it as thin as possible. So this time I use more beef but the same amount of marinade. But this time the marinade is fully absorbed. This dish calls for bean sprouts, but not those from soybeans. So I bought the wrong ones for the first time. Instead, we should use bean sprouts from mung beans. With those heads and tails removed, we just need the stems. We call these anya in Cantonese. Wash the bean sprouts and drain well. Then chop half of an onion into slices. And we need from top to bottom some scallions, some Chinese chives and hotbed chives. Just cut them into shorter strips. So here is a display of all the vegetables we need. Hotbed chives, Chinese chives, bean sprouts, scallions, and onion. Mixing the sauce is easy. We just need soy sauce, then some oyster sauce, and some dark soy sauce. Just mix them well, then the sauce is done. Please find the complete recipe in the description box. So in the Eastern cooking culture, when you are doing stir-fried dishes, always apply high heat. And this stir-fried flat rice noodles with beef, we are going to cook it in a very speedy and efficient way. We are going to keep the high heat on the whole cooking time. Make sure the wok is smoking hot throughout the whole cooking process. Stir-fried in the name might be a little misleading because if you really stir-fry the way like you stir-fry vegetables as usual, you end up breaking all the flat rice noodles. So in this dish, stir-fry actually means pan-fried it a little bit first, then loosen the noodles up. If you are skillful enough, the best way is to toss the wok. If you use the turner too much, every time when you turn the noodles, you end up breaking them. If you could, I highly recommend you toss the wok instead. Even high heat is important. There is a very critical factor that could determine if you could successfully make this dish or not. That is the type of wok that you are using. I learned it the very hard way. In my home kitchen, I have a rather high-end cast iron wok. While I think the wok is almost perfect except for its weight, like as usual, I used the wok to make this dish, and this is what I got. All the noodles are broken into pieces and stick to the bottom of the wok. See, I learned it the very hard way. The cast iron wok that I used for the first 2 times, because the wok is very thick itself, the transfer of heat is rather slow and it is not suitable for stir frying. I put the cast iron wok on high heat and heated the wok up to almost 200 degrees Celsius. If we use the cast iron wok for stir frying vegetables, it should be fine, but for this dish in particular, we need a very quick transfer of heat. So every time when I add something to the wok, like a different ingredient and other sauce, the addition lowers the surface temperature of the wok. That makes the food and the noodles stick to the bottom of the wok. So it's not ideal to use cast iron wok for stir frying. So instead, we should choose a wok that is actually thinner. Because it's thinner, the transfer of heat will be a lot faster. The high heat at the bottom of the wok can transfer to different parts of the wok as quickly as possible. That would be ideal for stir frying. In this way, the noodles fried would be full of wok hei. Wok hei is actually the strength and intensity of the heat produced when cooking in the wok. So the noodles touching the side of the wok would be beautifully browned. So in my third attempt, I used a thinner wok, which is a iron nitride wok. Would the cooking result be better? Let's find out. In the wok, add around half a bowl of oil. I know this might seem a lot, but trust me, you will know why later. Heat up the oil to around 190 degrees Celsius. Swirl the wok a little, then add the beef. If the oil is hot enough, the beef slices could be easily separated. Then use a turner to flip the beef slices over. We just want the beef slices to be cooked medium well, so cooking the beef in hot oil for 30 to 40 seconds will be enough. Use a sieve to drain the excess oil, then put the beef aside. The oil in the wok could be stored for future cooking. After removing the oil from the wok, clean the surface of the wok using kitchen paper. Then only wash the wok using water without any dish detergent. Use kitchen paper to dry the wok. Then dry the wok further on low heat. Add some cooking oil into the wok and heat up the wok using high heat. When the wok becomes hot again, add scallions. Then add the onion slices. After the onion slices soften a little, add the bean sprouts. When the vegetables give out a nice smell, add the hot-bed chives. We are frying these ingredients first as we want to remove their excessive water content. Remove the vegetables from the wok and put aside. Add oil and keep the high heat on, then add in the noodles. I use chopsticks to loosen up the noodles at the top only. Then, do not move the noodles at all. Pan fry the noodles for 30 to 40 seconds. Then toss the wok to flip the noodles. You could see from the pan-fried side, the noodles become slightly browned, and some parts even become slightly burnt. No worries, that's exactly what we want. After pan-frying the other side for around 30 seconds, add the sauce in. Mix the sauce and loosen up the noodles using a spatula or chopsticks. Even more ideally, toss the wok to mix the sauce well. Haha, told ya I'm already panic tossing. Please excuse my panic tossing, because this is my first time cooking the dish. When the noodles and the sauce are well mixed, add the vegetables back into the wok, because I was super scared that I would break the rice noodles into pieces. So you might see I tossed the wok far more than necessary. Really, you do not need to toss that much. Just use chopsticks instead. Add the chives, scallions, and beef back to the wok and toss well again. According to the professional chefs, tossing the wok is the fastest way to mix all the ingredients well. Of course, I'm referring to normal wok tossing, not panic tossing. The dish is to be cooked on high heat all along. It is supposed to finish fast. So if the sauce, ingredients, and noodles are mixed well, then the cooking is done, the dish is ready to be served. If everything is done right, there should be nothing stick to the bottom of the wok. Yay! So if you have the time, please try this at home. At this point, you might be interested in my new iron nitride wok. If you'd like to know more about it, I will share a more holistic review on the wok very soon. So please subscribe to my channel, like and share this video. Until next time, bye bye!